How's it going, everybody? Rybrad here today, and I'm here with the latest roster update. So these are the release day rosters, not the ones that if you played EA Access or had the 3-day early trial. No, these are the ones that they dropped on the day of release on October 16th. So these are the most up-to-date, and if you want to start your franchise mode and are just curious about peeking around and haven't gotten the game yet, here you go. Here are the rosters. But guys, make sure to leave a like if you're going to enjoy this video. Subscribe. We're on the way to 2K, and by the way, there will be timestamps down in the description. So your favorite team, go ahead and click on it. It'll take you right to the start of that team if you don't care about any of the other teams. They'll be there for all the teams. And I will also do one for the alumni rosters, but that'll have to come later this week. So to start off, we have the Anaheim Ducks, their best player being a three-way tie between Raquel, Getzlaf, and Lindholm. None of them really have a chance to grow if we're talking franchise mode. Actually, not a lot of potential on this team. Probably the youngest, highest potential guy would be Max Jones here. 22, 81, medium, top 6. And you got same thing with Sam Steele. So you got some future, but not a lot of elite prospects that are ready to step in and contribute right away. You can see down here, there's Backus, $4.5 million for 1 more year. Is not terrible, but that Kessler contract is not great. Take a quick peek at their goalies, and it is Gibson still at 90, 20. I mean, it's just fantastic. You literally don't have to worry about a goalie. One of the best goalies in the NHL in John Gibson. Then next up, we've got the Arizona Coyotes and Oliver Ekman-Larsson, who, yes, was part of trade rumors, but is still there now. Those kind of fizzled out. They dropped Phil to an 85, so he's definitely declining, but he's still serviceable. Jarmelson at 85. Clayton Keller, there's somebody you can build your team around. 84, 22, medium elite, definitely going to grow into a 90 in almost every franchise mode. But if we keep looking down their roster, some pretty good players here. 83s across the board. 22, Chychrun. Medium elite, 83. You know, it's a very deep team. Doesn't necessarily have top-end talent, but it's a team that if you just let them grow in franchise mode, you can definitely get the most out of them. Maybe acquiring a piece or two here or there. If we take a quick look at the goalies, they got a great goaltending tandem. Probably one of the best goaltending tandems in the NHL with Ranta and Kemper, although it might unfortunately be broken up. But two very, very solid goalies there, both 85. Very, very nice. Don't have to worry about goalie. Next up, we have the Boston Bruins. The best first line in hockey. I think I'm going to solidify that and say that I believe this is the best first line in hockey with Bergeron, Marchand, and Pasternak. All looking great. Then you've got McAvoy to really solidify that D-core, although it may take a year or two in franchise mode to get him to be a guy you can just lean on nonstop and really trust. Like he'll be probably in the upper 80s, maybe low 90s. If we keep looking, you got DeBrusk up there, Coyle, Kasha. Grzelcyk's contract extension is not in there, so that'll probably come in the next roster update. You got Sean Corrali from my alma mater, Wagner, Studnicka. There's a good young prospect. Other than that, nobody down here at the bottom that's going to anchor you contract-wise. And in goal, you've still got Tuukka Rask and Halak, another fantastic goaltending tandem. Tuukka Rask and Halak. Halak does have a contract extension for 1 more year. Tuukka Rask obviously expires after this season. So next up, we have the team that probably shocked the most people come free agency, but got Taylor Hall. There's Jack Eichel, another 91 overall player. Taylor Hall, Rasmus Dahlin is high elite. I don't know if he was high elite last year, but I think definitely he deserves it. He's a fantastic defenseman. Sam Reinhart there, still in arbitration, so he hasn't signed a contract extension. There's Eric Stahl, the Magic Man. Risto still an 85. Jeff Skinner drops to an 84. Victor Olofsson, no contract extension there yet. So that's one. If you start a franchise mode, you may be able to get your hands on some of these guys. Kyle Oposo still rocking an 80. So it's not a terrible contract. Casey Middlestat hangs on to that medium elite as we keep going down here. Some depth players here and there. Tage Thompson, another promising young forward. Medium top 6 at 22. Take a quick look at the goalies. You've got Linus Ullmark, who's an 83 overall. He got upped last year, and they kept it into this season. Still hasn't gotten his contract extension. He is in arbitration as well. Carter Hutton there at an 80. Hangs on in the 80s there. Next up, we have the Calgary Flames. Tkachuk, Gaudreau, Giordano, all tied for the lead there. Most promising guy is probably Matthew Tkachuk, being 22, medium elite. 2 years at his $7 million. So contracts not looking like they're locked up for very long term, but a lot of solid cap hits here anyway. There's Noah Hannafin, the successor to Marcus Giordano. If you're doing a franchise mode, definitely looks like somebody that's going to grow. We'll see about real life if he does jump into the Giordano category. If we keep looking here, it does start to tail off pretty quickly. You got some high-end guys, then it drops into the mid to low 80s, and then we get beneath that. You still got Milan Lucic here at 3 years at 5.25. 78 overall is not terrible, but it's not great. If we go to goaltenders, they have Jacob Markstrom, 88 overall. I think he might have gotten boosted. His 6x6 at 30 years old, and David Rittich. So quite a good goaltending tandem there in game and in real life. Next up, we got the Carolina Hurricanes. Aho leads their team at an 88. Svechnikov not too far behind, 86 at 20 years old. Medium elite, he's going to be an absolute stud. But you will have to pay him a lot of money. Teuvo Teravainen and Slavin come in at 86s. Hamilton, 85. Still got elite. Same thing with Shea, but they're not really growing. Maybe Shea will grow a couple points. Trocheck, Stahl, Zingle, Niederreiter. So things are looking good. Very, very, very deep team as I keep scrolling through here, and they're all 83s into 80s. And then you've got the depth guys there rounded out by Geeky. Let's go ahead and check out their goaltending tandem, 283, so it could be improved, but they're not bad. $6 million locked up in the goaltending position, but only for one more season. So we'll see what they do to address that. Next up, we have the Chicago Blackhawks, and I think this is the one of our first franchise potentials. I believe we had some maybe on the Bruins. Nope, nobody on the Bruins, nobody on the Sabres. Yeah, so those are the only teams that had somebody like that. But Patrick Kane is the first franchise potential, so he's going to stay up at that 91 nicely. So that $10.5 million is not too bad. Jonathan Toews still gets an 87, but it starts to drop off with Keith the Brinkat rounding out the mid 80s. Strome. But there's potential there. 23, medium elite, 84. There's a future, but you got to sign him. Kirby Dach, high top six forward, very, very good player there. Andrew Shaw, 81 overall, 3.9. Calvin DeHaan. Some of these contracts are larger. You've got Kubalik and his contract extension, only medium top six at 25. He doesn't have a lot of room to grow. I think he's going to grow in real life more than he'll grow in Chell, and it's one of those opposites. So you got Adam Boqvist there, Nikita Zadorov. Losing the Saad trade yet again. It's kind of impressive. He's still got Alex Nylander holding on to medium elite, 22 at 79. So he's running out of time to make that medium elite potential really be valuable. Goaltending wise, they've got Malcolm Subban and Delia. It's not a great goaltending tandem. You're going to have to focus on goaltending, but it's a very interesting team if you're going to do a franchise mode on it. Next up, we've got the Colorado Avalanche, and yes, Nathan McKinnon, franchise potential. Only guy so far that has franchise potential that can grow, and on 6.3 for 3 years, which is insane. And then you've got his wingman, Mikko Rantanen. Yeah, no, this first line is going to be absolutely filthy. I still would argue that the Bruins have a better, well-rounded Gabriel Landeskog. Does drag this one down just a bit. But then you've got Cale Makar, 21 years old, medium elite, 85 already, offensive defenseman. Very, very good. Then you got a great second-line center on a great contract, and Nazem Kadri. The fact that they can pay McKinnon 6.3 and have all this, all these other guys on good contracts. You got Samuel Girard there on 7 years at $5 million. That is a long-term deal, but he's a good, very, very good defenseman. Tyson Jost there is another name to look out for. Another good center. Hopefully he can grow for that franchise. But things are looking good. It's very, I'd say top-heavy. But it's tough not to be. It's a very, very solid team. And then in goal, you've got Grubauer at 84 and Francouz, 82 overall. So next up, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets, a team that was clearing a lot of cap space and not sure what they're going to do with it. Probably pay it all to Pierre-Luc Dubois, 22 at 86. They got one of the best defensive pairings in hockey, in Werenski and Jones here, if they do play together. Then they have Max Domi on his 2 years at 5.3 at an 85. Nyquist is still part of the team. Same thing with Cam Atkinson, one of my favorite players in the league. Bjorkstrand, Mikko Koivu signs there for 1 year at an 83, so he's probably not going to hang on to that 83 for very long. It's high top six, but you still can probably get a year out of him. Captain Nick Foligno here, 1 more year at $5.5 million, 82 overall, so he's going to be very, very serviceable. As we keep scrolling down, the new acquisition, Mikhail Grigorenko, well, he was playing in the KHL. He's back into the NHL. Emil Bemstrom, 21, medium top 9, so that's not too bad. Dubinsky, Nash. So some of these contracts, you will next season have a lot of cap space to work with. You do this season too. There's Nathan Gerbe. Gotta love good old Nathan Gerbe. It's hard to hate that guy. In goal, you've got both Korpisalo and Merzlikins. Both 26, both 84. Korpisalo's on the much cheaper deal. Merzlikins, 2 years at $4 million. That's a really good goaltending tandem there. Next up, we have the Stanley Cup runners-up in the Dallas Stars with Tyler Seguin yet again leading the way. Jonathan Klingberg there as well. Miro Heiskanen in at third, as I accidentally hit the B button. Sorry about that little jump cut there, guys. Miro Heiskanen there in at third. Radulov, 86. Ben drops to an 85. I mean, he's solid. He's still solid, but 5 years at $9.5 million is not what you want to see for a 31-year-old only at 85. Because he's not going to grow. Joe Pavelski, 2 years left at $7 million. Hopefully he doesn't drop off too much in a franchise mode for you. But there's definitely options. You've got Gurianov there at an 82. Very, very solid, low elite player there. If we keep scrolling through, you guys can see Dickinson, Pissick. Mark Pissick is new. Taylor Fadum. All these old Sabres. I'm noticing all these old Sabres on everybody's team. We look at goaltenders. You've got Bishop and Hudobin. Both in their early 30s, so maybe starts dropping off soon, but you definitely got two very quality goalies there. Detroit Red Wings coming up next. Dylan Larkin, medium elite, 88, 24. Very, very solid centerpiece. Build around him. Sign Mantha, sign Bertuzzi, two quite good, middle 20s. Hronik there at 22, solid, but that's your best defenseman. That's kind of tough. Hopefully there's some bright future for a guy like Zadina. Hopefully Detroit can do a lot more. Bobby Ryan, no longer a cap albatross. 1 year, $1 million, 81 overall. Very solid. I mean, definitely low risk, and he's going to put up points for you, so why not? Still got Darren Helm on his 1 year left, 2 years for Nielsen. Now, look, so there are some bad contracts here. But there does seem to be a lot to work with, except for, maybe Stahl. Henrik Zetterberg's still in the game, 70 overall. Yeah, he's pretty much done. You're not going to use him, period. And then you've got Greiss and Bernier. So some good goaltenders there. You upgrade the goaltending from last season, but there's still quite a few holes, especially on the back end with the Detroit Red Wings. Next up, you've got Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and the Edmonton Oilers. Both of these guys are medium franchise, 23, 24. I mean, what can I say? 95 and 92 already. Medium franchise, they're going to be ridiculous. I mean, they are ridiculous in real life, but then you've got Nugent Hopkins, Nurse, Clefbaum, Barry, all very solid. The new acquisition in Barry. Adam Larson's still there. Turris on a 2 year, 1.6. So again, it's a cheaper contract for a guy that, it probably more reflects his value in game. Ethan Bear, good young up and coming defenseman. James Neal, 81. Maybe you play him with McDavid just to get him points and hope that he gets the statistical growth. Zach Cassian looking good there. Contract might be a little bit overpaid. Tyler Ennis comes back for another go at it, and Chris Russell down to a 79 for $4 million. It's not fantastic, but nobody eats pucks like Chris Russell. Then you've got Puljujarvi here, low elite, 22. So hopefully he can, reach that potential for you guys, because he's a good young player and hopefully he can reach it. But Mikko Koskinen and Mike Smith, another go at it for the two of them. Solid, but not fantastic. Next up, we've got the Florida Panthers. Jonathan Huberdeau and Barkov round out the 90s for them. Then Keith Yandel, Ekblad there. Very, very solid Ekblad. I mean, you look at that draft, it's probably Leon Draisaitl is the best one coming out of that draft as of right now. You've got Patrick Hornqvist from Pittsburgh coming over, signing Alex Wenberg. So some smart and shrewd signings. He's still got medium elite, but he's really not going to grow. Strawman, Nudavara, Connolly, so Nola Chari. I mean, it's a solid team. If we keep scrolling here, yeah, some depth, some solid players. Owen Tippett, maybe he'll reach the NHL this year. 78, 21, medium top six. Definitely got to keep your eye on a guy like that in a franchise mode. He's somebody that you can easily forget because he's right in that range of AHL to NHL fourth liner. But anyway, goaltender wise, you've got Bobrovsky, Montembeault, and Dreiger. So you're really rocking with Bobrovsky and Montembeault. Medium fringe starter, 23, so he's going to be fine for you backing up Bobrovsky, but Bobrovsky's got that big contract. You hope maybe he'd bounce back this season. Drew Doughty's still a 91. Anze Kopitar's still a 90. Sorry, Drew Doughty is just not the same Drew Doughty. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but I don't think he deserved to be a 91. After that, wow, you really just dropped 9 points. There's no middle. There's no average player on this team. It's either you've got Kopitar, Doughty, and then it's Brown. In the low 80s, you've got first line superstars and then fourth liners. Jeff Carter still chilling there in 81, 35 years old. But if we keep scrolling here, Elias Anderson, they took the chance on him, getting him from the Rangers. But if we're looking at the rest of it, a lot of medium top six. So maybe that middle is filling out soon. But it's not going to be in time to save Kopitar and Doughty. And then in goal, you've got Quick and Cal Pettersson. So it's cheap goaltending, but all things considered, $6 million between two goalies is not bad, but it's not great. But Pettersson's probably the guy you're going to look to use moving forward if you're in a franchise mode. Next up is the Minnesota Wild. Ryan Suter is their best player at 35. Matt Dumba, who just got, I think he just got paid. Jared Spurgeon's contract extension kicks in. So their best three players are defensemen, and I don't see a centerman in sight. Nick Bonino down there. Jonas Brodin just got his extension. It's in here, $6 million for 7 years for 83 overall. Jonas Brodin, but you still got Parise, Zuccarello, Fiala. Zuccarello's good. It's just I don't know who's feeding them the puck. It's either going to be Marcus Johansson or Nick Bonino. Joel Eriksson Ek there. So you got three centers or three people that can play center in the low 80s. Not great. You need a number one. Same thing with Nick Bukestad. So you've got a bunch of third line centers. You're not really looking at too many first or second line centers here when you're starting it. But you still got guys like Foligno. God, I love my Buffalo Sabres that go somewhere else. And, just got to root for them. And then in goal, you've got Cam Talbot and Alex Stalock. And then Capo Kakinen there as well. So maybe make the decision to move one of the older guys, let Kakinen get some playing time. It's up to you guys. It's your franchise modes. That's just what I would do. But an older team here, definitely, maybe you're going for the first overall pick this year. Next up, we've got the Montreal Canadiens, and Shea Weber has really, the Shea Weber deal, Shea Weber for PK Subban, straight up, looks way better looking back on it in hindsight. But Shea Weber still at an 88 at 35. Jonathan Drouin at 25, still is high elite, so he's got a chance to grow a few points. Brendan Gallagher, who just got his 6x6.5 extension. Petrie, same thing. Tom Tatar, Philippe Deneau, Tyler Toffoli there, the new signing is in. Nick Suzuki, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, a young player that always happens to grow. Hopefully he can do that in real life too. He seems to be coming along pretty nicely. Joel Edmondson, Lehkonen, Josh Anderson there on a 7x5.5. 26 years old, 80 overall. So in game, it doesn't look great. If he can stay healthy in real life, he can really be a force. But you've got Victor Mete, Kulak, Hudon, Fleury down here at the bottom, rounding out the bottom. You're not looking at a ton of depth defensively, but you've got some guys to build around. And then you've got Carey Price and Jake Allen. So a 100% upgrade there. But that is a lot of, 15 million just about spent on your goaltenders. That might be why you don't have much depth in the defensive category as far as EA is concerned. Next up, we have the Nashville Predators. Roman Josi leads the way with a 90. Matt Duchene then is your best center, edging out Ryan Johansson. Ellis and Forsberg there as well. The aforementioned Ryan Johansson, Matthias Ekholm, Arvidsson, 84. Some pretty good names here. Very solid. It's a solid roster. I don't want to say it's like bad or anything. It doesn't wow you, but there's definitely a lot to work with here in Nashville. It's not like they're done or tanking or anything like that. You've got Luke Kunin, who they just acquired for Nick Bonino, I believe. He's rated an 80, medium top six. So that trade looks pretty good in an EA comparison. In real life, I'm not too sure about it. I don't know if they won that trade or not. But there's Eli Tolvanen, the young medium elite prospect, somebody that I know Predators fans are high on. And in goal, you've got UC Saros edging out Pecorine for the better overall. Next up, we have the New Jersey Devils. Nico Hischier with an 85 medium elite, 21 years old at 7x7.25. That's a great contract for a guy like Hischier. He's going to be good. You've got PK Subban there, 2 years at $9 million, so an 85. He's still serviceable. It's not like it's a complete cap anchor, but it's not great. Damon Severson there. You can play those two guys together probably. Kyle Palmieri, one of I think the most underrated guys in the league. Then you've got Ryan Murray, taking a chance on him. That's a good bet. Will Butcher there. So a very solid decor. It doesn't wow you, but you definitely need some more scoring forwards. Jesper Bratt, Johansson. There's Jack Hughes, high elite at 80 overall, 19. He's going to be very, very good in a franchise mode. Zaka, Zajac, Wood, Connor Carrick. So again, not a lot of top end talent, but there's definitely things to work with here. Definitely things to be excited about if you're a fan. And getting Corey Crawford for 2 years definitely helps a guy like Mackenzie Blackwood grow. 83 medium starter. I mean, he's definitely going to grow. You've got a good goaltending tandem going into the future there. But if I were them, I'd try and acquire some immediate help for the wing of Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes. Then you've got Bart Sal leading the way, still unsigned in RFA, so 23 medium elite, only 86. I think that might be a little harsh, but hey, who am I to judge? Josh Bailey, Brock Nelson, Anders Lee, Pulock, so you got Eberle there. Again, not a ton of futures here, but a solid team nonetheless. It's not a team that wows you with a lot of top-end talent. Dobson there, the high top 4D at 20 is definitely going to grow. But not a team that wows you with a lot of high-end talent. It's just very deep and solid. And that's pretty much the New York Islanders game. Does it translate to Chell? Not as much, but you got Semyon Varlamov at an 85. Going to need to find a backup goaltender. But as far as it looks, it's just a solid roster up and down. You've got good pieces everywhere. Next up, we've got the New York Rangers recently drafting Alexis Lafreniere. And if you guys are wondering, he is an 82 overall. He's not here right now because they haven't called him up, but he's definitely in the system and they definitely have him. I can promise you that. Same thing for the LA Kings. Quentin Byfield is a 77. Sorry about that. Artemi Panarin at a 91 rounds out the 90s. And you've got Mika Zibanejad, who I think is always criminally underrated, but 87 feels solid enough for him. Jacob Trouba is your number one defenseman. Then you've got Ryan Strome, Adam Fox, and Tony DeAngelo. Chris Kreider there, 7.7 by 6.5. It's not bad. 83 overall. You'd like to see it maybe a little bit higher, but Buchnevich, Hedl, Capo Caco there is medium elite. So very, very bright future as far as the forward core is concerned, and a solid defensive core. Lemieux there. I mean, yeah, guys, this team is pretty solid. You got Libor Hajek there. I like the Rangers roster. It's definitely one that would be a lot of fun to do in a franchise mode. Julien Gauthier there as well. And in goal, you're pretty much set with high elite Igor Shesterkin at 86 and Georgiev at 83. Both of them signed. You're going to have to pay Shesterkin, so maybe you decide not to, maybe move him, but I don't know. He's a really good goaltender. Next up, you've got the Ottawa Senators, a team that I'm doing as a franchise mode on my channel, with Shabbat and Evgeny Dadonov being their top players, but really Shabbat, 23 medium elite defenseman. He's going to be stupid solid. Same thing with Brady Tkachuk. These two guys just got to find pieces around them so that they don't get dragged down. Nikita Zaitsev, Connor Brown there unsigned, but 82 medium top six, very solid. Same thing with Colin White. High top six potential is really nice. Hopefully, if you're doing a franchise mode here, you hope that he grows in that second line center. Anisimov there is very solid. So you've got some good depth guys. Eric Brandstrom, young prospect, really, really fun to play with. If you guys are playing a franchise mode, definitely enjoy skating around with him. But with this team, you've got Stützle coming up eventually. You just need to make sure you surround these guys with just enough talent so that they don't, lose confidence or something like that. Or don't put up points in a franchise mode. But then you got Matt Murray there, medium elite 26, who's not really going to grow, but 85 is solid. Nielsen and Hogberg. It's really going to be Nielsen. It's solid goaltending there, but you just need to get some more of those top six wingers, maybe a middle six winger as well. But next up, we've got the Philadelphia Flyers with Claude Giroux and Sean Couturier tied at an 88 for the lead as far as their roster ratings are concerned. Jakub Voracek there at 86, Ivan Provorov at 85. A really, really good team here. Konechny, Gustafsson, Gostisbehere, James Van Riemsdyk's an 84, so his 3x7 is not, killing you. Travis Sanheim, I mean, the team is really, really good, really solid all the way down. You've got Kevin Hayes there, 83. His $7 million contract doesn't look too bad. Nolan Patrick, I think, did just sign a contract extension. It's not in the game yet. 81, 22, medium elite. So he's pretty solid there as well. Joel Farabee, the young kid, very, very good season last year. High top six at 80. So he's definitely somebody to look out for. And then in goal, we have Carter Hart, who is an 86. I think he deserves to be higher than that. I think I would argue he's better than Shesterkin. That's what I would argue. But he definitely has more time to grow. He doesn't have that high elite potential, but maybe Carter Hart's just hyped up more than Shesterkin. But I don't know. I'd at least give him an 87. Next up, we got the Pittsburgh Penguins, and we've got Crosby and Malkin in the 90s. High franchise Crosby, so he's going to be solid for probably the remainder of his contract. Then you've got Chris Letang as their best defender still. Jake Gensel, medium elite, very, very solid player. Jason Zucker, Brian Ross, Kasperi Kapanen, that's a good pickup for them. McCann, Marino, Marcus Pettersson's not bad. Michael Matheson, Dumoulin. I know they just signed Cody Ceci. I don't think that's in here yet. So you would have to go out and adjust that yourself because these were as of Friday the 16th. So anything after that was not in the game. And goaltending-wise, they're rocking with Jari and DeSmith. Two solid goaltenders, so it really seems like a 1-2 of an 83-83 is probably good enough to get the job done when your team is as top-heavy as the Pittsburgh Penguins. Next up, we have the San Jose Sharks, my personal bounce-back candidate, a team that I think just didn't have anything working for them last season. I think this season will go a lot better. And their top two players are their top two defensemen with Carlson and Burns. Their best forward is Logan Couture. Vlasic, then they got three defensemen in their top four. Tomas Hertl, Timo Meier, very solid players. Evander Kane. Some bigger contracts, though, handed out. Kevin LeBanc. They brought back Patrick Marleau, Marcus Sorensen. Ryan Donato's not a bad pickup. But a solid team. I think that they're in line for a bounce back, and I think they'll at least challenge for a wild card spot at the minimum. In goal, they've got Devin Dubnyk and Martin Jones, so hopefully they can spell Martin Jones a little bit. The dude plays way too many games, and I think that's why we've seen his recent drop-off in form. Splitting time with Dubnyk should be able to see these guys play at their best potential, which is why I'm betting on the Sharks as a bounce-back candidate. Next up, we have the St. Louis Blues, one full season removed from winning the Cup. Ryan O'Reilly and Vladimir Tarasenko are their best players, followed by Torrey Krug. No more Alex Pietrangelo. Torrey Krug now leads the way on the blue line. David Perron, Braden Shen, very, very solid team. Jaden Schwartz, Colton Parayko. Not a lot of potential, but hey, this is a team, like I said, that just won the Cup, one season removed from it. So Robert Thomas, very, very good. He's probably the best potential you've got. Vince Dunn's probably the best potential defenseman you've got. We keep scrolling here. We got Bozak, Steen. I mean, those contracts aren't looking great, but hey, they're still serviceable NHL players. Oscar Sundqvist there, and Barbashev, Sammy Blaze, Carl Gunnarsson, Kyle Clifford. It's a solid team. It's a really, really good team, and you're going for it if you're doing a franchise mode with them. Jordan Binnington, 86. Probably need to upgrade the backup goalie. Just my opinion, but very, very solid there. This team is looking really good from top to bottom. You've got those high-end guys in the high 80s. And you've got just a lot of depth everywhere. But speaking of Stanley Cup champions, the defending Stanley Cup champions, Nikita Kucherov, Victor Hedman, Steven Stamkos, rounding out the 90s for them. Just so much talent at the top. Same thing with Braden Point. That contract looks so good right now. Ryan McDonough still super solid. Mikhail Sergachev, wonder how they're going to pay him. Probably going to have to move some people. Same thing with Anthony Cirelli, who's gotten the boost to 83 overall. Tyler Johnson there, who cleared waivers at an 83. Yanni Gordon, 83 as well. Killorn an 83. Palatz at an 83. So I guess when you win the Cup, everybody on your team gets to be an 83. Coburn and Coleman at 81. Maroon at 80. And then, you've got their depth guys here. But again, it's just really, really solid. And then in goal, you've got Andrei Vasilevsky as 91 overall. His 8-year, $9.5 million does kick in. So that's going to hurt, but I mean, you got to figure out something to do. So it could be a very interesting team to do in franchise mode. Next up, we've got the Toronto Maple Leafs making headlines by signing Joe Thornton. I don't believe he's on the team right now because it didn't happen before the roster update. But you got Mitch Marner, technically is their second best player because I would say Austin Matthews with high elite would edge him out, but they have him listed higher. But I would say Matthews is their best player. Next up, you got John Tavares. So you got two heck of a center pairing. What am I trying to say? Morgan Riley is their best defenseman with Jake Muzzin. William Nylander there, still medium elite in 85, so still got potential for $7 million. Hyman and Brody there at 83. Brody's very, very good pickup in my opinion. Dermot Mikheyev, Kerfoot, Hull, Simmons. There's Wayne Simmons, another pickup. Jason Spezza still in the 80s. Rasmus Sandin, a very good potential defenseman there, so that could save you if you're looking at contracts and cap space there. 2 years left at less than $900,000. Dennis Mulligan, Engvall. So Jimmy Vesey picked him up as well. Zach Bogosian, 78. Some former Sabres. Joey Anderson. Again, it's another one of those top-heavy teams, but there's just enough depth to make it competitive in Chell. And then you've got Anderson, Dell, and Jack Campbell. So Three solid goaltenders, but good team here. Just you need maybe a little bit better depth, maybe better defensive core. Next up, we got the Vancouver Canucks. Elias Pettersson at 89 overall. Brock Besser at 86. You've got that high elite potential for Elias Pettersson, so he's going to be a stud. Going to have to pay him for sure. You got Quinn Hughes, one of the best young defensemen, up debatably with Cal McCarr. 86, 20, medium elite. JT Miller, that trade looked fantastic for them. Bo Horvat, their captain, looking solid. Edler, Schmidt, Myers, Virtanen still needs his contract. Pearson, Ferland. I mean, this team is looking very, very deep. They're, I don't know if Benning's playing Chell or what, but he's definitely making a good Chell roster here. Very solid from top to bottom. And then in goal, you've got Braden Holtby at an 88. I'd argue Carter Hart is better than Braden Holtby, but we can debate that. And then you've got medium elite Thatcher Demko here, so this is going to be a great tandem of the future. 2 years, $4.3 million, leaves Holtby exposed for the expansion draft and can protect Thatcher Demko. But a very good team, very, very fun to play with and fun to watch. Next up, you've probably got the second biggest splash in free agency with the Vegas Golden Knights. Alex Pietrangelo signing on 7 by 8.8, 90 overall. Definitely makes their defensive core look really good now. Then you've got Mark Stone, who was their best player before Pietrangelo showed up. Debatable at who's going to be better. Max Pacioretty still making his $7 million look good. Marchessault there, 86 overall. William Karlsson signed to a very solid $6 million deal for 7 years. Riley Smith. Then you've got Shea Theodore and Alec Martinez. So two guys that were on the team last year as far as the defensive core is concerned. Alex Tuck, a very, very good contract there, and somebody that, you know, if you're trying to acquire anybody in Shell, he's the guy to go after. You got Cody Glass, high top 6, 79. Ryan Reeves there, still listed, I think probably the only enforcer in the league at this point. Nick Holden there at 79 is not terrible. William Carrier, and then we start to get to the bottom of the roster. But a good team nonetheless. And then you've got one of the better goaltending tandems in the league if they don't stab each other in the back or, you know, have their agents do it. 87 Fleury and 87 Leonard. Fleury at 2 years at $7 million is a bit rich for a 35-year-old goaltender, especially with other areas of need. But hey, it's a great goaltending tandem. Then we've got the Washington Capitals. Ovi the cover boy gets a 93. John Carlson with a 91. Kuznetsov with 89 overall and Backstrom with 88. So they've definitely got the top end talent. Then you surround it with solid mid-level talent like Oshie, Verana, Orlov, Wilson, Schultz. I mean, Schultz and Chell is great in real life. If he can stay healthy, it's great. But the problem is he's got to stay healthy. Brendan Dillon's back, Lars Eller. I mean, it's a very, very solid roster from top to bottom. They got the stars. They got the horses to go. Some of these contracts don't look great, like Panik and Hagelin and Chell, but probably not in real life either. Then for goaltenders, you got Henrik Lundqvist as your 84 overall, 38-year-old, 1-year guy. I mean, they're spending $2.5 million on goaltenders. Ilya Samsonov, 83 overall, medium elite. So he's definitely the guy you would look to start, and Lundqvist can be your backup for a season. But definitely a good roster that's still got a chance to contend. Last but not least, we have the Winnipeg Jets. Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler are their leaders. Scheifele at an 89, Wheeler at an 88. And then you've got Patrick Laine, who is always in trade talks, but never seems to get, you know, any fire behind the smoke. 87 overall, medium elite at 22. Going to have to pay him probably somewhere in the $8-9 million range. Kyle Connor there, very solid, 87 overall, medium elite. They have a ton of top-end forwards, that's for sure. But then you've got Josh Morrissey, Nikolai Ehlers, Neil Pionk, just traded for Paul Stastny. So there's your second-line center. Brian Little, I think he's hurt in real life. If he wasn't hurt, you know, you wouldn't have to go acquire Stastny. But right now it makes the team look really deep down the middle. Jack Roslovic, Lowry, Perreault, Comp. You fill it out with a bunch of really good guys for that bottom six. The defensive core, I mean, you got a lot of guys down here. Need to figure out something for that middle pairing with Bufflin gone. But things are looking good there for at least the forward core in Winnipeg. And goaltending-wise, it's also looking stupid good. Connor Hellebuck, arguably the best goaltender in the league. You could debate on that. But 90 overall, 4 years at 6.17, and Laurent Brossoit at 80 overall. So there you go, guys. Those are all the rosters. Make sure to stay tuned because I'm going to be posting an alumni roster later in the week. But make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to see some more, and I will see you guys in the next one.